The views and opinions expressed on the Middle Class VO podcast are solely those of the hosts and guests. Any feelings hurt therein are an unfortunate byproduct of the quest for infotainment. Also, please be reminded that concerted efforts have been made so as not to put anyone's knickers in a twist. Having one's knickers in a twist is not an objective or goal. However, if your knickers are in a twist and it persists for more than 4 hours, please seek out a physician. Moreover, if anyone were to feel besmirched by any of the commentary on the Middle Class VO podcast, it would be purely coincidental. No besmirchment is intended. Please enjoy.
They will haunt every voice actor's dreams.
They will become a part of you forever. You can run.
You can hide, but you will never escape. Nightmare Sessions!
If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast. The Middle Class VO podcast.
We just goofy.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about today. It's the Middle Class VO podcast, and we're going to talk about nightmare sessions. Those sessions that you've had that you will never forget, that you think they could not have gone more wrong. But Bobbi, let's tell them, we've all done it. We've all been there. We've had those sessions.
It makes you really fear doing a session again, you know?
It does. And I'm going to put on the table as well, nightmare auditions, because I've had auditions that have kind of turned into sessions that became a nightmare. Bobbi, I want to start off by telling you about a session that I had most recently, here in the last year, actually. And it was a session that made me nervous to begin with. I got hired to do a spot for a big dental insurance company. Except here in Nashville, they wanted me to go to their studio. And I'm so much more comfortable doing it in my own studio. I really, really am.
Oh, yeah.
I had not done a session outside of the studio in 15 years.
Really?
So that kind of gives you an idea. But they wanted me to come to their studio because it was my first time working with them. And they said, no, just come here. And, it wasn't too far away. And I was like, glad to do it. I get there, Bobbi, and there are 7 people in the room. 7 people that are going to be sitting there, and everybody's going to have input. So here's what I do. I go in. I meet the agency lady. I meet her. Hey, Cindy, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And then I meet the engineer. Hey, Ben, how are you? Nice to meet you. And then I meet the 5 different people from this big dental insurance company.
So the actual clients, yeah.
The actual clients. They were all there. And I meet the first one. Hey, and my focus is remembering the names. That's my focus. Remembering the names. I meet the first one. Hey, nice to meet you. I meet the second one. Hey, nice to meet you. I meet the third one. Shake his hand. My hand slides because this guy had so much lotion on his hand. It slipped. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now my hand has got all this goo on it, and I've got to meet 2 more people. And I want to scream, my hand's not greasy, this guy had lotion on. I can't just do that.
Exactly. It's not me.
And so I've got to meet these next 2 people, and I have to shake their hands. And they're probably going, wow, this guy's nervous and sweaty. Oh, my goodness. So that's how the thing started. And so I met the other 2 people, and then, they put me in the booth, and I, as I kind of got right behind the door where nobody could see me, I'm rubbing my hand on my pants to get the Crisco off it, whatever it was.
Slimy Kilpatrick will be known forever.
Exactly.
Skibidi-ba-ba-ba.
Like I said, I was nervous to begin with, and I don't really feel like it went that well. But at the end, they said, oh, it was great. But I still don't feel like it went that well because I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was so nervous during this thing because I'm not used to being directed face to face, and I'm a pro. I should get over that. Get over that, Nancy. I should get over that. I shouldn't be so nervous that I can't do it. I did it, and they said it was great and all that stuff. But you know how we are. We're self-conscious.
Oh, yeah.
We're not confident that we crushed it, and we want to crush it every time.
Well, not only that, but there's the too many cooks in the kitchen aspect of it too.
And that's what it was, Bobbi. It was just a perfect storm of a bad nightmare session. All these 5 people had their input, and you know how it goes. On the other side of the glass, you do a take, and then hang on, Kev, we're gonna listen back. Boom, and they play it back, and then you hear it in your head, and you're like, whatever, and then you see them talk, and then they talk, and then they talk. And it's like, Bob has something to say. Oh, Jim has something to say. Oh, greasy-handed Gary has something to say. And then they come back with some direction. You know, Kev, could you emphasize payment options a little bit more, or what? You know, whatever it was. But that was one of my nightmare sessions that I've had recently, and I just wanted to talk about it because we've all been there. I've talked to plenty of other voice actors, and we've all been there. So I felt like sharing that experience. Bobbi, it's your turn.
Oh, my goodness. Where do you start? Well, kind of in the same vein, when you have that many people, when there's multiple clients and producers and directors and sound guy, like you said, you're always going to get an opinion, but you're also having to please everyone. And I remember a session, it's been 2 years ago. It was one of my very first directed sessions with Source Connect. And it was for the driest topic. It was technology, which, you know, I do a fair amount of that, but it's just kind of like the words are in front of you, but you're not really grasping it, you know? You're getting...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I tried joking with them and making little comments and nothing, you know, that wasn't inappropriate or anything, but just to lighten the room, right? Crickets. I would say something and it's like crickets. And I'm going, oh, this is not going to be good. They're gonna hire somebody else. They're going to go get slimy Kilpatrick to do it.
Isn't it funny how creative types, the most creative people in all the world, can be the driest people you'll ever meet in person?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Don't be that guy.
That brings me to another story. This just happened like 2 weeks ago. It was so funny. It was hired through my manager, and I did an audition for it, and they chose me based on my audition and my demos, of course. But they were in a different city, and then the producer was in a third city. So we were all, you know, on different lines, but we were all patched into each other. And they asked me to do the script first, and just kind of like it was in my audition. And they were just the opposite. They were a fun group. You could tell that they were just very comfortable with each other, and they wanted to welcome me, right? So they said, okay, we're going to try something different. And he said, Bobbi, I have a feeling that you're a really nice, friendly person, right? And I'm going, yeah, that would be a good description. Friendly is what I get a lot. He goes, okay, kind of like Sandy from Grease. And I went, yeah, Sandy from Grease.
Okay.
He goes, we want you to be bad, Sandy.
So you want Rizzo?
No, remember when Sandy had the leather jacket on?
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
So he's like, bad Sandy. And I was like, okay, I can do bad Sandy. And I really had a tough time doing bad Sandy. So I did it, and he's going, okay, we're getting there. And then he just said, okay, I want you to be, I'm just going to say it, I want you to be badass.
Ooh. Ooh.
Do we have to bleep that?
Don't scar my virgin ears.
I know. And so I just, you know, I got into my actor's thing, and I thought I did a pretty decent badass. And so he's going, oh, yeah, this is good. This is what we're going after. And that's when they told me, we're going after a younger audience, by the way. And I went, oh, okay. So
Could have said that to begin with.
But once again, they were over there just cutting up, and he was throwing off, expletives occasionally. And I thought, they're really comfortable with me, so I'm going to be comfortable with them. So he goes, okay, this one, I just want you to let everything out and go for it. And so I said, okay. And we all do whatever you want to call them, lead-ins or upspeak or whatever into your thing, right?
Pre-life.
Yeah. What do you call it?
Sometimes it's called pre-life.
Pre-life, okay. So I was like, ready, guys? Okay. Yeah.
I love it.
And they went into my script, and I finished up the spot and then came back on when you can hear them, and they were dying laughing. They said, we never expected that from Sandy.
Even bad Sandy. Yeah, those will happen that way. I did some lead-ins one time where they wanted some attitude like that, and I felt very comfortable with the producer, and I led into it. All right, you can eat a bag of dicks. And then I went into the line, and they're like, wow, man, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
Yeah. You just got to let loose sometimes, right?
Ba-da-ba-ba.
Let me tell you about a nightmare audition that I had, and I'll explain the reason why it was a nightmare audition. Now, I am going to drop an expletive, but I will beep it out. But for context, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Bobbi, because I know you can take it because you're badass, Sandy. So I got a pay-to-play gig that I was cast for, and the guy he actually said, "Okay, Kev, we really like your read. We like what you did with the read," and it was like a marketing newsletter thing that was going to be turned into video, and it was one of those pop-up ads that comes up on websites. So it was a marketing letter, and now I did that read, I did that audition, and then I get a call back, and he said, okay, we've got it narrowed down to you and like 2 other guys. We just want to make sure that you're comfortable with a little salty language, because what we sent you is not the actual script.
Oh, no.
But we want to make sure... And Bobbi, this is right after I had recorded 40 Bible stories for kids for the Bible app for kids. So that's out. That's blowing up nationwide. So that's right after that. So bear that context in mind. And I said, yeah. I said, I'm okay with a little bit of lighter, salty language. No problem. I said specifically, as long as it's not anything pornographic, I think I'll be fine with it. He writes back, great, perfect, great. You're hired. The next email, I'm going to send you the script and the NDA and, the agreement, all this stuff. And I get the script, Bobbi, and I open it up. And the very first line says, "Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm a hound."
Oh, my gosh. No way.
Yeah. And it went on to say, "And I'm going to tell you how you can as many women as you want."
Oh my gosh.
What part of not pornographic did you not get?
Exactly.
So I did the gig. No, I'm joking. I did not. No,
it's a bestseller.
Right. I politely wrote the guy back, and I was like, Alexander, I said, yeah, this is a little bit beyond my comfort level, and I will respectfully decline this project. I hope you'll keep me in mind for future work,
Oh, my gosh.
But, never heard from him again. And that's fine, because if that's what he does, that's fine. There are people that don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I can't do that. I can't do that stuff.
I think ever since Shades of Grey came out, there's a fine line between erotica or whatever and porn. I really do. And I think people are saying, oh, it's okay now. Look how many books they sold. I had to do a travel piece one time. It was for a cruise line. And once again, they hired me on my audition, which I gave them the style, and they said, yes, that's exactly what we're looking for. So I get in the session, and it was hard to understand because he was European, and I couldn't quite grasp some of the words anyway.
Bobbi, I'd like to interject really quick. If you're an American when you go in the bathroom and you're an American when you come out of the bathroom, what are you while you're in the bathroom?
In the bathroom?
European. Wow, wow, whackity-doo.
Oh my gosh. Ah, slimy Kilpatrick at his best. You know you're never getting out of that now.
Exactly.
So he starts out with the script, and I did it just, like my audition. And and there were other people in the room too. And he's going, okay, and why don't we try this? And why don't we try this? And then it went like complete 180 degrees, an hour into it. It's like, no, it's not what we want. We want, really announcery, bold, blah, 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 blah. And you know where I'm going with this.
They don't know what they want.
2 hours later, we were back to where I was with the audition.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, what a pain in the butt.
Yeah, and you're right. I think that whether they're experimenting or they don't know what they want, or they'll know when they hear it, or I don't know, but you just think, oh, that's where we were to begin with.
Sorry, not sorry.
And I got one more that I'd like to share with you. A nightmare session. It was actually a nightmare audition/session. It was, it was something for the state of Arkansas. I won't go beyond that. But I did the audition. The client reached out to me. Hey, Kev, we really like your sound. We really do. We're not 100%, this is the agency, we're not 100% sure that the end client is going to choose you, but we would certainly like to use you for the scratch track. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll get presented. I'll be the one being presented. Mm-hmm. And I sent them like 3 takes, in the same exact vein as the audition that they really, really liked.
Right.
And they come back and they have a couple of script changes. And I'm like, okay, y'all, this is a scratch track, first of all, but I'll do it. And then they had more script changes. And then they had a whole different direction. And then for this scratch track, they want to direct me for the scratch track.
No.
And I'm like, all right, y'all. And then they say, you know what, Kev, you're going through a whole lot of effort. How about we pay you a little session fee? And I'm like, okay, and we agreed on a little session fee. And I'm like, at least they're making it worth my time. And then they come back. They wanted me to throw some music under it because they found out I produce. And so they had me throw a little music under it. I go through all these hoops and I do all this stuff. There was so many different takes, so many different versions that got rewritten, changed direction, different music, all these different things. And after it was all said and done, the lady was like, oh, we're so appreciative. By the way, she the owner of the company directed me. And she came from journalism. She was a journalistic producer. And so I guess she thought she could direct voice actors. And she's like, no. Say it like this.
Oh.
And hear it, blah, 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 blah. Just as monotone as I just did right there.
Wow.
And I'm like, you really want me to say it like that? You don't, but that's what you're saying to me. Yeah. So all of this rigmarole, and I am still waiting on my measly little session fee payment. And this happened in 2018.
You're still waiting on that payment?
I'm still waiting on that payment.
Nice.
And
nice.
It's like, I'm not going to fight and chase down these couple of bucks for all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you got what you wanted out of me. I'll never talk to you again.
Right.
And if anybody asks for a reference, I'm going to tell them exactly what happened.
Yes. I get that. You'd probably want to announce their name right now so everybody else avoids them.
Oh, I do. I think I've given a few hints, though.
You're so discreet.
Oh, no, he didn't.
But, there's the saying, and then there's what I think should be the new saying. Really, is the customer always right?
No.
And I don't mean this to turn into a bitch session for us. It's just like you do have those sessions, and you have incredible sessions too. But, sometimes you're right, but you just do it just so that you can keep the client.
Yeah, it's just, for every nightmare session that you have, you have 10 really great sessions. And maybe it's more. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what the ratio. What would you think the ratio might be, Bobbi?
Of good sessions to bad?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'd say 8 good to 1 bad, if even higher. One last week was my fault. My internet went down in the middle of my session.
Oh.
Yeah, and thank goodness it was somebody I had worked with before, and he was delightful. He was just like, it's okay, get it up, just get it up, whatever. And it took me like 20 minutes, and the client was in the session, and she was very cool too. And that was my fault. But, usually they're great. They really are.
Skip-it-a-ba-ba-ba.
In my early days, when I first got going full-time after leaving radio, one of my first gigs was for a national retail chain. It was really cool. I was doing an ISDN session, and this is prior to me having an enclosed sound booth. I had just taken a bedroom, treated the walls acoustically, but I did not have good isolation. This is when I was still living in Fort Lauderdale. I was in Fort Lauderdale. There was a female talent. She was in Boston, and the producers were in Lansing, Michigan. So we're all 3 tied in together via ISDN. And we're going through, we're doing the price points, we're doing jazz hands, we're doing all this stuff. The session's going great. All of a sudden, down below my second floor, down on the ground, I hear, and the producer goes, "Am I hearing a lawnmower?"
Oh, no.
And Bobbi, I had just been full-time, just a few months at this time. And I'm like, yeah, Joel, that's the lawn guys started the lawn. I have no control. They do the maintenance. I don't hire them. It's just part of the HOA. And he's like, tell you what, Kev, he said, just be quiet for a second. And he wanted to capture the tone so he could isolate it and remove it.
Smart.
And he was the coolest guy. So that was super cool.
My first job, Kevin, in my first being in the radio was in high school. We had a high school radio station. And you know how immature you are in high school, right?
Yeah.
My best friend and I were in the radio broadcasting class, and we were together doing, like, co-anchoring the news. And then there was the guy at the board controlling it. And we got into a giggle fit, and he kept it on live.
Oh.
And we were 17 at the time, I guess. And I fell backwards in my chair live because we were laughing. And he never stopped putting it. We never stopped going live. And to this day, every once in a while on Facebook, he'll remind me, he goes, remember that time at WLHS?
Wow.
How do I forget?
Oh, that's great. That was one your very first nightmare session, really.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, Bobbi, it sure has been fun reminiscing about all these nightmare sessions, and it's just a lesson that, hey, it happens to all of us. No matter how experienced, no matter how new, it doesn't matter. You're going to have them.
Yeah, and you're going to learn from them, too.
It's been fun, Bobbi.
It's been real slimy.
All right, badass Bobbi. Badass Sandy. We will see you next time on the Middle Class VO podcast. Make sure to check out Podbean for all of our other episodes, or go to middleclassvo.com. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
The Middle Class VO Podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVob jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobbi's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO Podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of the Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.
Nightmare Sessions.
Nightmare sessions.
Nightmare Sessions.
Nightmare sessions. We just goofy.